Hi, today's lesson is on the lead guitar parts from Wild West End by Dire Straits, which is Mark Knopfler. It's his song, his guitar playing. Someone suggested this in the comments on one of my other Mark Knopfler videos, and I hadn't really considered doing this one, but then when I started looking at it, I realised it's kind of a perfect example of his playing. There's quite a lot in it. There's not really a guitar solo as such. That's quite unusual for a Dire Straits song. But there's little lead fills all the way through the whole song. Loads of them. So I've written them all out, and you'll see me looking down at my bits of paper on the floor here. Because I haven't memorised them all yet. But there's some great examples of his playing. This was on their first album, and I think that this is probably one of the best songs you could listen to if you want to get into his playing. There's just some great little phrases and things, very sophisticated, and considering it was their first album, it's amazing really. But then that also had Sultans of Swing and things like that on it. Okay, so I'll get straight into it. The key is D major, but it's kind of all over the neck with these phrases. I think what I'll do is I'll just for each section I'm just going to play through and show you what each phrase is in the order that they appear. I'm not going to play along with the song or anything. I'm just going to play you all the phrases. You might not want to do the whole thing. You might like the second verse or something, and then you could just skip to that and then learn the second verse fills. But I think if you want an insight into Mark Knopfler's playing, this is worth looking at. Okay, so I'll start with the intro. So the first phrase in the intro, we've got to do this. It's a 10 on the first string, and you pull off to a 9, pull off again to a 7, and then play a 10 on the second string. As always with Knopfler stuff, if you can use your fingers, it's going to sound a bit closer to his sound. But you could use a pick for this and it's fine, but fingers will give you a snappier kind of attack like he gets. So yeah, 10, pull off to 9, pull off to 7, then play 10 on the second string like this. Do it slowly. So I started with all three fingers on. And then the next one, this is one that appears a lot in this song. It's a bend, a pre-bend actually, from 5 to 7. So a pre-bend, if you don't already know, it's where rather than play the 5 and bend it up to 7 and then let it down to 5 again like this, it's one where you start with the bend without playing it and then play it. So all you hear is it come down. And he does that, and as it comes down he then pulls off to 3 like this. But also, there's another little twist to a lot of these phrases. He uses a volume pedal to just do what's called a swell, where you hear the sound kind of emerge. I haven't got a volume pedal rigged up at the moment, but if I just use my volume on my guitar, as I pick the note, the volume's down, and I'll just bring that up as I let this bend down. That's how he does it. Sometimes with these, you want to start with the volume part way up. And that's a bit more like it. So you hear the note being picked slightly. Depends how accurate you want it to be, really. And then there's a very faint phrase that he plays. All the way through this, the dynamics are amazing. Sometimes he's playing very sort of quietly, so you can barely hear the notes being there at all. And other times, the notes really sort of jump out of the mix at you, and you really hear them. The guitar kind of pops through. This phrase here is barely audible, but I think it is in there. So what it is a slide from 7 to 9 on the 4th string, very quietly, and then a second string 8th fret. So it just makes kind of a little chord. But it's so quiet the way he does it. It's like. Then the next one, this one's a bit louder. He does a rake. Now a rake, if you're like Dave Gilmour or someone, you're using a pick, you'd play a rake by dragging down the strings like that. Mark Knopfler will use thumb, first and second fingers and kind of roll across 3 strings so you get the staggered notes like that. And the notes we want are 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, 7th fret. So you can use a pick, but if you're using your fingers, this is how I think he does it. So the last note, the 2nd string one, is the important one. The other two just kind of lead into it. And then we play 10 on the 2nd string, 9 on the 3rd, 7 on the 2nd. Think of these in pairs. 3rd string, 7, 9. 4th string 9, 3rd string 7. It's a sequence, it's a pentatonic sequence. So I love that one, that's one of my favourite riffs in this song. Okay, and the next one, 4th string, where we've just ended up, but you move your finger across to the 4th, play the 7, hammer onto 9, and then flatten the 1st finger over the middle 2 strings, 3rd and 4th, at 7th fret, play those, slide to 9, go back to 7 and just play them again like this. So that's everything in the intro. I'm just going to quickly play them in the order they appear. Right, then verse 1, there's several fills in this one. So the first one, you've got to play 7th fret on the middle 2 strings again, so like we did earlier. These 2 strings, 3rd and 4th strings, 7th fret. I'm using my 3rd and 4th fingers for this, and you've got to slide to 9 like this. As you get there, it sounds like he's hammering on to an 8 on the 2nd string, but without picking it, so it's like this. That's a little bit awkward to do. And again, like some of the others, it's pretty quiet, this one, so you can just hear it faintly. And then once you're there, you pull off all 3 fingers to a 7. Like this. Now the second one, really nice one, sort of a country kind of lick. 2nd string, 3rd fret, 3rd string, 2nd fret. I'm using these 2 fingers, and you play those 2 strings, bend the 3rd one up, so you might want your 1st finger to help with pushing the string up. Bend it up roughly to a 4, sound like that, and then let it down again. And then we've got a very faint volume swell. Very faint, you can barely hear this one. 2nd string, 7, goes up to 8 with a bend, let it down to 7 again like this. But you can barely hear it. Then there's a big gap. He sings several lines before the next fills. This is the biggest gap in the song with no lead, I would say. And then the next one that comes in, another volume swell. We're doing one that we've already played earlier, which is the 5, pre-bend to the 7, let it down to 5, pull off to 3. He uses this one a lot. You'll hear that a lot in the song. Then the next one, I like this one. Actually, I like all of them. This one is a slide on the 4th string, 7 to 9, 3rd finger, and then play the 3rd string 7, 9, pull off to 7. Like that. And then 9 on the 4th, 9 on the 3rd, 9 on the 4th, 7 on the 4th. So that's that whole phrase. Next one, a little bit tricky to get if you're not used to this style. You kind of need to use your fingers to get this one accurate. It's like what they call chicken picking, which he does a lot of this kind of. I think he probably uses thumb and 1st finger. I tend to use my 2nd finger a bit for that. But what he's doing is it's a 7 on the 3rd string, and he plays this note 5 times, like this. So using thumb on one of your fingers, probably the 1st finger he does. Thumb first, thumb, very fast. and very staccato, so very short notes like this. Slowly, that's fastest. Okay, you listen to the song and you'll hear how that bit sounds. And then we slide into a 9 on the 4th string and play a 7 like this. So the slide is coming from nowhere in particular. It's one of those slides where you're just moving as you pick the string. Then 7 on the 3rd. And then repeat that. And then play a 7 on the 4th. So that whole phrase is... Okay, so then the first chorus, again I'm just going to go through each phrase as it appears. So it starts off with a slide from 7 to 9 on the 4th string. These are a lot of repeated notes that we're using here. And a very faint 9 on the 3rd string. And then play that same slide again, 7 to 9. And then play these two notes together, which is a 7 on the 3rd string and 8 on the 2nd. And this is all quite faint, this bit. Then a 9 on the 3rd string, slide to 11. So that's... Next one, sounds like he's got a bit of delay on this one. I don't think he played it more than once. It's possible he did play it 2 or 3 times, but it sounds like he's got an actual echo on it. But the actual notes are 3rd fret on the 2nd string, 2nd fret on the 3rd string, play those together and slide up 2 frets like this. But it kind of sounds like this. Like he's playing it more than once, but I think it's probably an echo. And then we've got this one where you play the 2nd string, 5, pull off to 3, play the 5 again, and then play a 4 on the 3rd string. And then a very faint 2nd string, 3, hammer onto 5, play 3. So it's... The first bridge after the first chorus, there's not much in this one. There's just this simple phrase where you flatten your first finger down at 5th fret and we're picking the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings. Play those twice and then just play the 2nd and 3rd strings only and slide up to 7. So it's like this. You probably recognise that from the song. That's a little phrase that's used a lot. Just once though in that first bridge.